CG. Yeah, I am going live. I'm just playing some guitar. Can you hear it okay? Just thought it'd be neat to do something a little different for the intro. A little bit of music. Um, I did find a dude who records, so it's looking like I'm gonna connect and try to get moving with getting my songs recorded. Das would be very good, yeah. Um, some tunes in the background. And getting back to the action. What's up, CG? How you doing in your neck of the woods? All right. Should I do this part? I'll do some of the architecture here. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background. I always have to play the music in such a way as like I can hear it and enjoy it, but I can't let YouTube hear it. You know? It's a thing. So last night was a really great show. I had a close friend of mine over to talk about David Lynch. The David Lynch legacy. And my friend is a young filmmaker guy, and he's up and coming. He's had his work accepted to film festivals around the country. And he's for real. He's very, very sincere about what he does. And in my experience, people in like up in young filmmakers, people who want to make movies, they a lot of times tend to be very kind of like vain, sort of. It's like the vanity project, so to speak. They're in love with the idea of being famous and stuff like that. I can only say that because I've done storyboarding and worked with filmmakers on and off over the years. Not a ton, but enough to kind of see the community locally. And there's like a lot of desire to be famous and not a lot of talent, and very little to actually say, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, there's not much different between a movie screen, a canvas, and a guitar. If you look at it in terms of it's a medium of expression, But I think we're just so saturated with the kind of Hollywood, movie goy slop, that everybody just seems to think that, you know, that kind of shit is what movies are about. Anyway, whatever. But it was a good show. It was a very good show. My buddy has really great insights. Like, he's a really good guy to talk to about film. Willow on pause is here. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Uh, I wish I could speak French and say I'm bien, bien. I don't know. I'm okay. I'm okay. Comme ci, comme ça, I guess. But welcome to the channel. Just doing some comic book illustration. Since you're new, I can show you some of the work that I'm doing. It's kind of classic comics. You know what? I have another French friend that usually comes to the chat, but he's not here yet. So unfortunately, he can't translate. But I appreciate your coming. I don't even know if you can understand what I'm saying, but thank you for coming. I should get one of those AI translators. That would be cool. Okay. Yes, very good, very good. Yeah, this music is my vibe. I don't know if you can hear it or not. It's On the Beach by Neil Young. It's kind of mellow. It's not so much that it's sad, but that it's wary of life. You know what I mean? That kind of like wary of life type sadness, I guess. It's a type of an aesthetic, And there you go. And now you know. Evening, evening. Good to have you here, buddy. What's going on? Nice to see you, CG. Just doing my thing. I was actually having a very good conversation in my Telegram just about the right-wing movement and where is it going and all of that kind of stuff, There was a show, it was Mark Collette's show. Heinrich from Red Ice was on. This is a sort of recent show. And I guess one of the themes is how the whole Trump Zionist Zog world that we're walking into is co-opting the right wing now. That's the new flavor of Zog slop. Glad to see you back. Yeah, I've been streaming like almost every night actually. Last night was a really, really good show. I had a filmmaker friend of mine over, and he's like a local buddy. and we did a show remembering David Lynch. So it's a very, I guess, kind of a film nerd kind of show. You know, there's a lot of talk about integrity. There's a lot of talk about vision, being able to make it as an artist in Hollywood, in that structure. And a lot of talk about American cinema, American identity, in the context of his films. And it's for my money, it's a brilliant show. Like, I'm really really impressed with the way the whole thing came out. It just my buddy is really really smart. He's really together, and he's just got it. You know, he's got the true art spirit. So it's a fantastic show. I wouldn't consider those people authorities anymore. Nothing ever happens is their mantra. Yeah, I'm not. I know I'm. This is kind of the thing of it. Is I was making a statement that it seems like. Oh, how do I put this? What did I say? Something like we seem to be daydreaming, like we're caught in a kind of bubble of talk shows, you know. And I don't feel like there's no real power. Nobody's organizing. Nothing's actually happening. And I would say, in my opinion, the two main reasons for that is just because of the agency and the resources that it takes, the money and the time and the effort. But then secondly, the whole fed up situation where people are afraid to stick their neck out. You know, they want to organize and do things, but you know, are they going to get shut down? Are they going? How far can you go? I think you know what I'm trying to say. You don't want to get a knock at your door or some bullshit. There's always some bullshit. And those are two really, really strong forces, that are, I think, holding us back collectively. And the sort of talk show circuit, the news feeds that we get into, they kind of, I don't know, it just feels very much like it's scrolling on TikTok or something. You know what I mean? It's like I know it's about us. These are our guys and our cause, which I believe in, of course. But I'm just sort of saying, like, it's a type of it's a rabbit hole you go down and you don't get out. Like, there's almost an addiction to not doing anything. If anybody is like, hey, let's meet up, let's do something, let's organize, then straight away there's this whole panic of, like, is this a honeypot? Is this a Fed? Can I trust this person? Who's vetting? All this terror about all the fucking shit. And it's real. I get it. It's real. But, at the same time, it's crippling. I think it's crippling. And I don't know. There is a side of me that's like, take care of yourself, take care of your finances, your health, your son. Your do your work, your channels, all this stuff. And try to make money from your content, and that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And especially since there really is not a lot of content out there for our guys. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It's just I feel frustrated. I feel really frustrated. I think a lot of us do. But this isn't going to be the downer stream, even though the music is kind of sleepy, sitting by the pond with a fishing pole in your hand, kind of. Anyway, let's see. You got an art convention and they want you to say nothing happens, just dead weight. Um, Yes, the art convention thing is good news. That's I just got the news about that today. So that's awesome, and that should lift up my spirits. Michael's here. Your hands remind me of my Papa Bear. Aw, that's a kind thing to say. It's bourbon music. Yes, sirree, Bob. Oh man, I would love a glass of bourbon right now. Uh, my, I do have an occasional drink, but my drinking days have passed me by. I probably did a little. No, I definitely did too much of that at one point. But a nice glass of bourbon sounds really good right now. Yeah, this stuff like the drawing buildings and windows and all this. It's very tedious, but it really, really is important for the scene. And like I always say that the environment is like another character in your story. And you should treat it as such. Give it some character. So that's cool. So yeah, there seems to be a new organization on the block, and they've got an art convention. I was invited to it, and it's probably not. I don't remember when it is, but it's not till like spring or summer. So I would have some time to kind of save up and you know get prepared for it. It's the kind of thing I should do. Yeah, so I'm gonna look into that. Looking into that. I have very, very fond memories of performing at the White Art Collective Music Festival. Uh, gosh, I don't. That was a couple years ago. It was quite a drive to get out there, but like the whole event was phenomenal, and there were a lot of amazing people there. All the main key members of the White Art Collective were there. The music was incredible. The setting was wonderful. It was just like one of the highlights of my life, to be honest. Moderation is good, yeah. He was a cook his whole life, so he worked with his hands. A man who worked with his hands, yes. Uh, so I enjoy your work. Oh, well, that's cool. That's kind of an extra bonus there, I'd say. Pretty cool. I think about my father often. I miss him terribly. I have a kind of a thing that I do where I I say goodnight to my mom and dad every night as a sort of a ritual, and I feel like it's a, how do I put it, like, I don't know, I just it's in my mind. I feel that they really genuinely hear me, and it's a sort of a communication between our hearts, if you will. And as such, I can still feel their love and their presence in my life, which is really, really important. You know. To an extent, there's a sense that, oh, I don't know. Well, I've had some paranormal experiences, and so I have this sense of like, well, they're here anyway, so it would be rude not to say goodnight, and that's its own thing, yeah. All right. Let's check the chat here. Ulfric's here. Hey, good evening, big guy. Good to have you here. I don't think I ever went to an art convention, but I do live by the sea. He came to me in a dream and grabbed some TV dinners, and that was it. Recently, it was my dogs. Yeah, I, I personally believe that spirits can visit us in our dreams. My father and mother have visited me in my dreams. My mother visited like fairly recently again, actually, but I also get things like the lights in my house will flicker when I'm talking about them and stuff like this. I love how your details unfold as the art gets retouched from sketching. Cool, thanks. I appreciate that. Stopping in for a bit. Hope all is well. Well, it's better with you here, big guy. I've been enjoying your posts on Instagram. Uh, we're like Instagram buds where we send funny reels and cool reels to each other. You know, it's pretty cool. Anyway, you know how you have to kind of be selective about what you show to who. But then you got those friends that you can show them anything and they'll laugh or whatever. They get it. So that's my bud right there. Indeed. Greetings, bud. Cool. So yeah, just getting that. Something about doing this that is very, very. It's more than relaxing. Like it just kind of keeps me sane, in its own way. If my life is just work and eat and sleep, I really would rather die. I really would not want to. So, live. I mean, other than for my son, you know, my son is it's my son. So, but like the existence of just work is like not existence. And interestingly, after the show I did last night on remembering David Lynch, it really, I don't know, it really kind of pumped me up in terms of like the importance of integrity in art and, the, being true to your vision. Quite awesome, quite awesome. He's an American icon. What's funny about this work is that I already know what it's going to look like when it's colored. It'll come alive like amazingly. You guys will really enjoy it. So that's going to be exciting. Oh, what else? What else? Life can be boring at times. um, I'm missing something here. Greetings. Michael says the guy walking away, three guys in the middle of the fight scene. That's super cool. How you compose that? Well, dude, that's a freaking crazy idea. How do I compose this shit? Um, I think as an artist, you're a visual person, and you see things in your mind that just come to you in terms of like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's a type of you're just born like this, and like I just see things. I don't know. I see what I want it to look like, and I draw it. That's it. Probably, like I'm remembering the riots of what was it, 2020. When the election was stolen. There was all those riots at the time. So I'm just kind of having flashbacks of like that time. Um, I don't know if you remember that or what, but it was a really horrible time in America in terms of like we haven't seen riots like that in since like the '60s, and it showed the organized terror of groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and it made us realize like we're in the fucking shit now. Like these people are psychotic. They will kill you. They want to kill you. They're bloodthirsty. And so like this cult that I invented for this story, they are, in a sense, they symbolize that. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys here, they symbolize that. So moving on. Life. What's life worth living unless there's a purpose for greater than itself? I agree. Master designer. I'm discussing your brain, dissecting your brain. Ouch. Yes, dissect away, my man. If you find something in there, let me know. Okay. So yeah. Um, I'm kind of the thinking that like work alone is not what life is about, and but I feel very strongly that like the well, like for example, the Republicans have this kind of like oh, the gas prices are down and the GDP is doing great and we're getting out of debt and we're and like as if that helps me personally. I mean, hearing, for example, Trump saying, "Oh, we're going to get rid of income tax." Okay, now that's something. That's something that's helpful. But still, like describing the health of a nation as if, like, financially, as if that is the true measurement of our meaning. It's very revealing in the sense that, like, we're tax slaves. You know what I'm saying? This is a thing I've talked about numerous times on this show. The U.S. dollar is based on a lien against the labor of the American citizen. So, at the end of the day, it's our labor that gives value to the US dollar. And how much of the world economy depends on the US dollar? You know what I'm saying? So, if the American people collectively stood up against that, and demanded a better quality of life, a more meaningful life that wasn't defined by how much money corporations are making, you know what I'm saying? Like there shouldn't be homelessness in America. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And that's just one of a million things I could say. But anyway, don't worry. We've got death to look forward to. So that'll be the great escape. Freedom at last. Free at last. Free at last. That's kind of why I'm very much interested in things like just astral projection and all of those sorts of things, because I feel like we gotta learn to die, basically. And I know that sounds very macabre and morose, and it's not meant to be. I don't think of death as a negative thing. It's just birth into the next life. So it's important to know how to, you know, what to expect, how to navigate that. And I've had this discussion many, many times on my shows. I'm going to zoom in on this for you guys. A little closer look. Um, Birds flying away, or are they also fighting? Or traffic lights, maybe warning label. Billboards, graffiti, can't fight against God's plan. I wrestled him all my life. Deep, great convo. Um, yeah, one of the current things that I'm thinking about is just what they call frequency, and that's mm, mm, what is frequency? Frequency, in layman's terms, is actually the type of emotions that you have, but those emotions depend very much on the types of thoughts that you have. You know, so if you're it's this is what was talking about at the beginning of one of my recent shows. It's this concept of the feedback loop. The feedback loop being when you think a certain type of thought, it tends to create more of that type of thought. And there you go. So I don't want to get too esoteric. Um, let's see. A woman would never talk about these things. Ooh, you hit a nerve there, buddy. I know, man. It's funny. Where did I? Oh man, I saw some comedian somewhere. Oh man, I can't paraphrase it properly, so I'm gonna screw it up. But there was some discussion of this nature, like deeper discussions about you know just existential truths and life and death and this stuff. And the comedian said something like, "I have never once heard a woman talk about those things." And like the audience burst out laughing because like it's just and that's not to say that there aren't women that think about these things or can talk intelligently about these things, But there's something there though. You're onto something. You know what I mean? I when I was young, I used to think that like I needed a girlfriend that I could talk to about these things and have like philosophical conversations, blah blah blah, and learned that that just doesn't it's not a thing. Like that's what your buddies are for. And simultaneously on the inverse, women will get into a way of acting or thinking where they'll start talking to their man in a way that they would talk to their girlfriends. And then men don't think like that. So they'll be like, I don't really get this mode of communication. Is there a problem? Do you need me to solve a problem for you? And then they'll start getting angry because you're not like talking the way that their girlfriends talk to them. And so my advice to men is, when and if that happens, well, it's going to happen. You just simply say, why don't you call up your friend, Susie, Mary, Jane, whoever, and you know, see how they're doing, touch base, and you know, if that's what you want to talk, because like it seems like this isn't like throwing shade on women, but women do have a kind of social need to talk. And it doesn't matter what they're talking about, it's that they're talking to each other because they get a sense of happiness and fulfillment from that. It's part of their social social emotional construct, I guess. It's a biological thing. And how do I know that? Because I've researched it. A woman would never da da da. Sorry, ladies, this is men's club. uh, it's not a men's club. I have, the door's open. I just don't want anyone under 18 here. I don't want minors on the show. I get a lot of kids because they like comics. Anyway, no matter how much you're right, sometimes you have to drag in a stranger to hear it fine from their mouth, but it's funny you put it that way. Yeah, so I would super, super strongly recommend looking up a website called The Illimitable Man by Rollo Tomasi. The illimitableman.com.org. I don't know what it is. It's a really extensive and amazing blog with numerous essays. The guy has he's got like a talk show and stuff. Anyway, one of his essays that you can find on there is called The Red Pill Constitution. No. When I was going through my divorce, I was looking up information on men's rights because I was going through some shit. And it just, was like, this is something I need to do. But, on top of what I discovered, I also learned that there was this enormous online culture that you could say is a men's movement. I'm not, part of the quote men's movement or what have you. But I would say that it's a good thing so long as it's not like a lefty thing, because those sort of like men's groups that go out in the woods and like scream at and just have emotional breakdowns like women and shit is not like, let's just act like women. No, that's not the fucking answer, dumbass. But anyway, so illimitable male by Rollo Tomasi. Look up the what's it called? I just said it, the Red Pill Constitution. So in there, it talks about women's true psychological nature, and it reveals it. He's not the only guy doing that, but he seems to be one of the earlier guys doing that. And it was a massive, massive revelation for me. Like I was kind of had a sort of a kind of enlightenment that came from that. And it's the thing of it is that men are all taught to be gentlemen, to be nice, to be good, be gentle, blah 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 blah, all this shit. But like that sets us up for total destruction, you know. And especially you compare that to feminism and like what feminism is teaching women, and you have the perfect fucking recipe for disaster. Where men, not just men, but our children get devastated. And then when our children are devastated, our civilization is devastated because you're destroying the family. You guys know all about that stuff. I don't want to go into the ugly details. But that site kind of saved my life in a way. And interestingly enough, also, that's actually the jump off point to me learning about white identity politics. I don't know how that happened, but there was just people maybe in the chat groups or something or other that were connected to that, and I clicked this link and went over there and the next thing and the next thing. And then there you go. Now I'm Donald Kent's American Zarathustra. So, what do you know? Good evening to Gang Squad XVX. Hey, thanks for joining us. We are doing some comic book illustration. We do a lot of free chat, red pill versus blue pill. The damn rabbit hole goes deep. You said it, brother. What's up, Gang Squad? How you doing? What's new with you? I'm reading the chat here. CG says about what you mentioned earlier, Don. Andrew Torba talked about it also on X, I guess, and said that we are accelerating towards mainstreaming our points. He's excited. So why would people be mad? So that's funny you should say that because that's where I was like a week ago. And I don't know if it's just, I need a nap. It's like, I just like in a bad mood or something that's like making me see things a certain way. I did get a little, hold on, because that's kind of like what I've been saying is like, oh wow, this is a good opportunity for us to move forward. Let's leverage, the Trump thing and this and that and the other thing. There's more people talking about the JQ than ever before. I don't know. I guess I go up and down. I mean, this movement it can be exhausting. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm glad and I appreciate you bringing that up. I think that's a really really significant point. Torba definitely has some good takes. I mean, I've been, I pop in and check in on what he's talking about. I probably should set up another. What's his site? I forget the name of his site. Social media site that Torba runs. I can't remember the name of it. But maybe I'll set up another one of those. Yes, and there you go. Let's see. Hold on here. Isn't the point? It isn't the point. Well, the Trump thing is just to create air and space for the next thing. Moro's speech you shared was good. Yes, that's more along the lines of what I'm thinking, which is way more revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? I've run out of patience with the whole thing. I'm like, man, by now we should have gotten shit done. We, you know, it's just like when you know what to do, but you don't have like several $100 million and like and your own personal army and other things. It gets because like you know what I mean. It just gets frustrating. Michael says you're right about acceleration. Whoever has the secret in technology is accelerating their agendas if you're not aware. Yes. That's not the right one. Let's see if I can turn this a little bit and get it a little better. Yeah, I was just invited to that art convention, and I don't know, today I'm kind of in a grouchy mood or something, and so maybe I should give it a day or two to rethink that and, save up for the trip, I wonder if I should do a crowdfunder to go on the trip. That is not a horrible idea. That is not a bad idea. Because you take a trip and you got to take time off from work and blah blah blah. That's too big. let's see. We got some more chat going down here. You're right about it. Da, da, da. So do you believe the UFOs crashed during the 1940s in Area 51, where they found two high-tech devices, the surgical laser pen and a headband that's steering the craft? So, yeah, my usual dudes that come and watch my show, they've heard me talk quite a lot about UFOs. But I always have to remind people that, I'm like a guy that researches this. I'm not, what's like, I can't really say definitively, is this true or that true. I can say, this is what I've heard, you know what I mean? And I can say, this is what I believe based on, my research on this topic. So it's very well established in ufology that, Area 51's very real, and it's pretty much all of the stuff you've heard about it is true in terms of there was a crash event. There were some bodies. There was a living alien that they took. They've turned the area into a black ops UFO technology location that probably has much, much more than just that going on there, which would be something like DNA experimentation, just a lot of crazy ass shit. Oh boy, I just heard something about this recently. But yeah, I mean, it's just like anything. You have to kind of approach it like a detective or a lawyer, and just research the information, see what you can learn about the people providing the information, how legit are they, what side are they on. There's quite a lot of counterintelligence out there in the UFO world, and it's very easy to be misled about stuff. So one tries to see the authenticity of things. So like people who die mysteriously, usually we're telling the truth. Like that's a good indicator that guy, he took the lid off of that story right there, and he paid the fucking ultimate price for it, So yeah, it's somebody who I recommend if anyone's interested in going down the UFO rabbit hole. A guy named Jim Sparks. He has a book called The Keepers, and his you can easily look him up on YouTube. His lectures are readily available there. It's a funny thing because you'll have people like that'll come forward and share. He's like a lifelong abductee. Like he's been abducted probably hundreds and hundreds of times, and has insane stories, like absolutely insane stories. You just have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and say, like, this guy appears to be for real. Like this appears to be real. So, and there you go. There was something there was an interesting point that somebody brought up about, like, why would aliens just randomly, abduct people and say, like, you must tell the people of Earth that you're killing the environment, and we want you to stop, or something. Like, it's a ridiculous premise, like that you could just go to one person on Earth and give them that mission, and then somehow they have the ability to do that. So I don't buy into that. It's there's other nefarious things going on. They're harvesting DNA. Um, you know, again, I always want people to take what I say with a grain of salt, you know. Um, but in his case, they were training him in a number of things, and one of those things was to help them to abduct people. You see what I mean? Which to me makes more sense, you know. Um, he would be abducted and then taken to locations where there's hundreds of people who've been abducted, but they're in a kind of a daze and a panic, and his job was to calm them down, you know, stuff like that. But he's got many videos and lectures. Gonna need some more water soon. Um, I learned computers, etc., so it let me down the rabbit hole a long time ago. The movie The Terminator and the Matrix is written by one artist and is part one story. Hidden Meaning depicts the Bible. She's a modern day prophetess. So I think that one thing I'm always cautious about is getting too carried away with stuff. It's exciting, it's interesting, it's fascinating, terrifying. You know, there's a lot going on, but like always maintaining a certain healthy, what's the word? Skepticism has to be your default setting. You know what I'm saying? One of the best resources for people who just want the facts and are extremely skeptical, I mean, to the point where they do not believe at all in UFOs or whatever, I would say go to Dark Journalist X on YouTube. Dark Journalist X. And then that'll give you content that you can, you know, legitimately sink your teeth into, you know. I think that's the problem, I think, with the whole UFO culture is that it's so fantastical, and human beings tend to want answers, and if we don't have the answers, we'll make up the answers. We'll kind of fill in the dots. And like there's this whole kind of, you know, like Sedona hippie culture that is like grifting off the UFO thing. And you know, they have conventions, and you can, you know, buy my program, and you know, people are making thousands and thousands of dollars off of kind of peddling fantasies about it. And I don't engage in that. I don't indulge in that. But at the same time, to truly be scientifically objective, I also don't say that they're wrong, because until I have, you know, a reason to believe that they're, you know, you get the idea. Fill in the blanks. You know, I just don't. It's just that I think a lot of that is just the culture of it. I'm very suspicious of that culture. You know, the crazy thing is you can take a half truth and then put lots of rosy flowers and pretty bows and, you know, things around it, and then it looks good, you know, and people will buy it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the UFO content is like that, and it's dangerous. You have to be not mean, but you have to be skeptical. That's all. It's just approach everything scientifically. It's the same way I approach race. It's biology, you know. It's, you know, IQ, civilization. Those things go hand in hand. You know, murder rates, IQ. Those things go hand in hand. Competency in anything, and race and IQ and DNA, they all go hand in hand. So, you know, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too far either. But you just simply got, if science is your guide, you're fine. You know what I'm saying? Um, so like I'm not raining on anyone's parade, but at the same time, I'm not buying into stuff either per se, if you know what I mean by that. You know. Michael says that movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy. Have you seen it? I've seen clips of it. It's a bit of an old film. I don't know that I was very impressed with it at the time of what I saw it. It's like there's some, I don't know, some part of an airplane or a satellite falls down on a, like, somewhere in Africa, and a pygmy finds this thing, and he's trying to search out, you know, where did it come from, and it's something from the gods. And so there's an analogy there that is actually worth going into, because we are the pygmies. We are the, you know, we're the low IQ hominids compared to these aliens. And not all of us per se, because I have reason to believe that Caucasians specifically are ethnically, racially related to at least one species of aliens that are super highly evolved, highly intelligent. That's another rabbit hole. That's another rabbit hole. And here's the thing: I have experienced this quite a lot, and that's when, if you say something like that, people will just straight out of the gate just say, "Oh, that's insane. I don't believe you. You're crazy." And instead of saying, "Oh, interesting. What makes you believe that?" You see what I'm saying? Because like nobody wants to fucking think. Nobody wants to think. I had a discussion recently with a very close friend who I really respect. He's a highly intelligent guy. And he was kind of questioning in his eyes, he thinks it's like, oh, you have an obsession with the Jews and it's unhealthy. And, you know, what makes you think this way, that way, da 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 da. And I was like, well, here's the deal. Like, none of what I say is belief. Everything what I say is knowledge based on fact. And so I can easily show you the data. But if I do, then you're going to become an AZI, you know. And do you want that? And his eyes lit up like, oh, no, you know. And so I said, it's not about sort of truth, it's about courage. The courage to see the truth, to speak the truth, to stand in the truth, to know the truth, to be the truth, to align with the truth. And that just doesn't exist with so many people. We're very unscientific in our ways, you know. It's unhealthy. It's not something to be proud of. But that is entirely based on the social, oh boy, how to put it, the social realities. So, you know, I mean, Holocaustism, or, you know, or like Judeo-Christianity, or any of these things that make people believe in the propaganda, is very cultish. It's very much like a cult. And so it's really hard to get people to see past that, you know. Anyway, I'm all over the place here talking all these different things. You just have to question how people determine truth. That's pretty much what I'm getting at. So, like, if you're talking about UFOs, then, you know, think to yourself, like, well, how do I determine that this is true? You know? And from there, let's let you know what I'm doing is I'm drawing this guy right here. So I just have to have like a visual reference for my dude. I think I'm gonna quickly grab some water though. If you guys can cut me a break here, talk amongst yourselves or something. Okay. I'll just be right back. Alrighty. So, what should we talk about, guys? Probably not UFOs or more UFOs. Hold on. Let's see, get some tunes on here. Hang tight. Hold your horses. All right. But I don't know if is anybody there? Are you guys there? Let me know if you're there. The Jim Sparks stuff is really, really good. Also, there is a show called Project Camelot. That's one of the earliest shows that I discovered in my research. And so Project Camelot is an excellent resource for all things paranormal, UFOs, black ops, psychic abilities. Wow, man. I mean, it's the whole thing. It is the whole thing. But even, again, even with that stuff, it's like just tread lightly, see what you can figure out, and enjoy the ride. I don't know. To me, it's like this stuff is super, super fascinating. I want to know as much as I can. Who's the guy? Coast to Coast. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? What's his name? Neary? I forget his name. Coast to Coast was a famous radio show. Definitely in the 90s, maybe in the 80s. And it was like a call-in show where people would talk about UFOs and stuff. And there was one guy that called in who claimed to work for like Area 51, and he was in an extreme panic where he was almost crying. He seemed like he was running for his life, and he was calling from a payphone and saying, I don't have a lot of time. I need to get this message out. The things that they're doing at the this and that, and some dangers and something. And then he's like, they're coming for me. I have to tell you that, something. And then like the phone cuts out in the middle of the message. And frankly, I'll be quite honest with you, it was pretty terrifying to listen to. And then like, I don't know, a week later or something, the guy who made the phone call calls into the Coast to Coast show and says that it was him and it was a hoax. So on the one hand, you can be like, okay, maybe it was a prank. And then on the other hand, it could be like, maybe they got the guy and they killed him and they're covering up. They're running interference. You know what I'm saying? Like, which one is it? So like that's how it goes. That's how you kind of look at these things. You don't know. It's tough to know. I would love to communicate with aliens. I would love to have some kind of experience. Not all of them. I believe that there's definitely certain species that are, for all intents and purposes, just like demons or animals in a sense. They don't possess any compassion or, but why would they want to talk to us? Like, what do we have? the premise is that, once we split the atom, we automatically kind of became, you know, I don't know how to put it, not like part of the intergalactic community. No, no, but like we suddenly it's like, okay, these humans have evolved enough to destroy the Earth, and plus they've got space travel apparently. So it's time to kind of get in there, and that's anyway one of the theories about contact. Even when making art, you can't avoid dark. It used to see the form of your objects. That is totally true. I heard that phone call recording. He sounded fruity as well. Okay. Joe Mama is here. Hey, bro. Looks good. Thanks for coming. Um, yes, indeed. So. A little bit on the low energy side tonight, guys. Sometimes I do shows and I'm like, I come out of the gates, both guns blasting, and I'm swearing my head off, and I'm having a good time, and I'm all passionate about something. And then other nights I'm like, "Where's my bourbon?" Just like, you know, a little bit lower energy. But, let me turn off this stupid commercial. I want to thank you. Yes, sir. So this guy that I'm drawing right now is actually an angel, but he's also the father of the militiaman, the main character, and he doesn't know it yet. So that's kind of a neat part of the story, I mean, it's not like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It's not that kind of, I am your father. If so, it's more on the positive side than on like, Darth Vader being evil or whatever. I got a lot of sympathy for Darth Vader, actually. Let me turn this up. I love this. I was in a band in college, and we did this song, 21st Century Schizoid Man. It Doing that live was kick ass. It was like just so fucking kick ass, We just destroyed it. But I'm gonna fast forward this bit. Ooh, that's a good song. I actually did get a copyright strike for the David Lynch show. We played some clips, from his movies, and the clips were on other people's YouTube channels. So, but YouTube was like, it's not going to really affect your channel. You can, edit it out or something, but blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Okay, Michael says, we think it's our voices in our head. Living being in the past used to live long as 1,000 years. Well, in the Bible, they've lived hundreds of years. Why would God change life expectancy? I think it's due to angels making ungodly creations. I wonder what it has to do with Moses' timing, though. One theory out there is that it's shown in like the geological record that there were much higher levels of oxygen on Earth, and the thought is that people were much larger, and that we lived longer. I don't know, like I don't know, but it's a theory, that like people were closer to giants than they are today per se. Um, it's an interesting theory. Some shadows on here. Any of you guys see Nosferatu? I'm kind of obsessed with that movie right now. I strongly recommend it if you can see it. I have my own interpretation of the ending of the film that I feel is kind of an engaging thought. At the same time, if you say the end of the film, you're giving away the ending of the film, This is a living being in the past. This is we did that just to even ponder the thought of an invisible cloak, and nowadays it's not even far-fetched. Actually, I think they've already created that. I've seen footage of it. Imagine the young minds minds they have to learn a lot to catch up. Oh, nice shading. Thank you. This kind of thing too, like putting in nice shading like this, is really helpful to give a certain feeling to this character too. I'm trying to make the audience love this guy. To like I said, he's an angel, but and his son is militiaman, and the reader knows this. And he actually revealed himself in his angelic form earlier in the story, which flipped out militiaman. He was like, "What the heck is this? Oh my God!" And kind of like ran away. So it's just an extra dimension to like the emotion of these characters, the relationship of the characters, and in a sense also saying something like you can't run away from your fate. You were meant to be a kind of hero, not a savior, but a hero for America in these dark times, and you can't escape your fate. And that's kind of what the father angel is there to sort of help him, guide him to that path. Unfortunately, there's a lot of other things that happen. This militiaman has this very tragic event that happens to him that changes him. When tragedy hits people, they can kind of start their villain arc, if you know what I mean. And I'm definitely on my villain arc right now, for example. I don't want to be vengeful and hateful or this or that. I don't. It's not my intention to become that. But when people betray you and disrespect you and abandon you and and all this, like do horrible things to you, the natural human tendency is pretty dark, you know. So these two characters are kind of like two sides of me. It's got like the fascist and the normie conservatard republicard. I'm not a republicard, or you know what I mean, like sort of like the naive nationalist versus the worldly knowledgeable nationalist. They're just two forms of nationalism. This is more Christian. This is not Christian. It could be, but this character represents race first, whereas this is America first. You see the difference? What are your thoughts on that? What comes first, race or nation? There's a reader in the story. What? That's unique. No, meaning the people who are reading this story. That's what I mean by the reader. You know, when this is published, you know. It's like when you see a movie and there's something that happens in the movie that the other characters can't see, but you watching the film can see. So you know, like you can see that the murderer is at the door, you know, but the woman inside doesn't know that he's at the door, like that kind of thing, you know. Yeah. This song is super powerful. It's called Epitaph by King Crimson. Ooh. It's, so this is what I mean. Like this is actually a great example right now. I've been in kind of a negative mood today, and I'm not like this every day. Like at other times, I'm like, all right, let's get out there and go, 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 and you know we're gonna win, and we're gonna organize, and za, 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 za. And then other days, I'm like, whoa, 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 you know, like some shit, you know. So I'm kind of being a little cruel to myself by talking about myself like that. But so I was talking about feedback loops, like when I have like negative thoughts, it's like, I don't know how to say this, but you know, like, okay, I this album came up on the playlist or whatever on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I love that. I haven't heard that in ages. And I forgot about this song, Epitaph, which is really, really nihilistic. You know, he says, like, if we make it, we can all sit back and laugh. But I fear tomorrow we'll be crying. And it's kind of like an end of the world scenario where the the message is essentially hopeless. It's bad. You know, it's a sad, negative, dark view of humanity, you know, and what's happening. And so this is kind of my suspicion is that if I get into these negative mental states, suddenly things like that will just pop out of nowhere, and they're like the feedback loop. Like you know, this is the mental emotional state that I'm in. Therefore, reality just like gives me more of it. That makes sense. And I know that probably sounds a little woohoo to some people. That might seem a little insane, but the thing is, it happens every fucking day of my life. Every day, like in a very obvious way. So, what's the answer? The answer is try to be positive, or at the very least, neutral, you know? And that way you can kind of control the feedback, you know? The fate of all mankind, I see, is in the hands of fools. That's like the lyrics to this song, you know? The first King Crimson album is pretty dark, you know. 21st century schizoid man. I mean, look at the name King Crimson. To me, that sounds like the devil, you know, the Red King. Am I right? You know. Anyway, let's get back to the chit chat here. Reader, unique. That's like watching TV. Race or what? The other or nation? Oh, they're both same thing, different name. I think they can both find something mutual about their mission. Huh. Um, sorry, just turning the fucking commercial down. They say sad people listen to words. That's a funny. That's actually there's something really funny about that. Sad people listen to the words of songs. Anyway, I guess it's just me and you, Michael. No one else is in the chat. I don't know if I'm boring them or they had to go. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe they're sick of hearing about UFOs. Okay. Well, one little thing I can be happy about is the show last night was fantastic. So I'm quite happy about that. My buddy who came over, like I said, he's a filmmaker and he's got a lot of insights into film, you know, and was able to talk very intelligently about David Lynch, and we did kind of a bit of an analysis about how is that a reflection of America in the times of David's life, you know, as he was coming up, and etc. I like watercoloring. You should send me a copy and let me try it out, maybe. Where, I've had people take my work and do digital coloring of it, which looks pretty neat. There's been some pretty neat versions of that. I will be hiring a colorist to, you know, to do that for this comic. But you know, you could take a screenshot or something, you know. Okay, what do we got? I never saw that. That's cool. So, you know, I misplaced the. You must have seen it before. Of my book, Imperium Art, Imperium Calling, actually, and there's samples of digital coloring in there. Must be kind of tricky doing it on the computer. Well, so digital coloring is a thing. So you first have to select an area, which means you outline the area that you're going to color, and then you drop in what they call flats, and then you add sort of lights and shadows on top of the flats. And so that's like three processes right there, you know. They actually have teams of people that do that stuff. That's how time consuming it is, you know. And they tend to get paid a lot just because it's just so time consuming, you know. Yeah. I've been trying to figure out how to get YouTube without the ads in it. And people have said, "Oh, use browser or use the what do you call it? The Brave browser." And I've tried that, and then YouTube can recognize that it's a Brave browser, and they says we won't let you watch YouTube on this browser because it blocks ads, you know. So I don't know that you can get around that actually. All right, that looks pretty damn cool. That's a sick character. I like that. Must be kind of tricky. I just heard that. Okay. Is anybody else here? I would really like to know. So. Oh, no. What I'm referring to is that I'm playing music on my laptop, and every once in a while a commercial comes on and interrupts it, so it's kind of annoying. What are you gonna do? I just noticed something I gotta fix. Eagle Pax Max, hey. How we doing, Eagle? And tell me, why did you choose that as your name? I think that's an interesting name. Like, Eagle Pax Max. That's an interesting name. What does it mean? Enlighten us. Teach us the ways of the eagle. Did you know that there's an eagle kung fu style? Isn't that fascinating? So, you'd have to kind of know a little bit about kung fu to maybe get it, but it's kind of a combination of snake and, I wouldn't say crane, but it's similar to crane in that it's like another bird. And they have like really, they train their hands to grab, to just be very, very strong so that you can tear muscles and things like this. It's pretty crazy. Very difficult style to do. Like, you gotta be insanely athletic to do that style. It's not, it's not for the average person. What else? There's a style called monkey style, which is in a way funny. There's some kind of, like, the monkey is considered like a trickster, and so there's something sort of humorous about that style. Okay, let me read your answer here. I thought of the eagle's nest. I thought of the idea of the Pax of the Roman Empire, and I felt that peace should be brought to the maximum, as into the max. Freaking awesome, bro. You rock. You rock, my bro. That is a really great sentiment. I like it a lot. Because ultimately, it's we want peace. You know what I mean? We don't want war. We want peace. Even though a certain tribe is at war with us and will not be satisfied until our memory is erased from history, as it is written in the Talmud. The sons of Rome, Esau. Anyway. What's what here? What do we got? That's fascinating. I got eagle grip. Yeah, yeah. You would need the GI Joe Kung Fu grip. Um, yes, sir, Bob. So I don't know. A lot of great memories of studying Kung Fu in different schools. The very first. Okay, so I was the victim of home invasion in college. I had an apartment, and somebody broke in and assaulted me when I was like, I don't know, 21 or something like that. And it was ugly, it was very ugly and terrifying. Of course, I called the police and all that stuff, and it was a terrible experience. And I just told myself I'm never ever gonna let anybody do this to me again. And then shortly after that, I looked up martial arts schools. And I knew nothing about martial arts. I was sort of more of a hippy dippy kind of kid at the time, so that just wasn't my personality. And then I'm like, fuck that. I'm not. This is a reality of the world, and gonna. I'm never ever gonna be afraid again. I promise this to myself. So I found a teacher that apparently does the style. It's not really the style, but he claimed to do the style of Bruce Lee. I think it was probably more of a marketing thing. Um, I'd say that Bruce Lee's philosophy was probably there, but I don't know, his background was more in karate. It still was very cool though because his teaching method was a half hour of technique training and then an hour of sparring, and so I loved it. I love sparring. It was so much fun. Him being a good teacher, he was able to, you know how to spar a student and in a way that you're not going to get hurt, and you gain some feeling of success. You're able to apply the techniques and what have you, and you walk out of there every class. You walk out a little more informed, and then more than that, there's a whole thing about like conquering fear. Like it's fear is the mind killer. Fear is the thing that you really. It doesn't matter how many fucking techniques you have, how many hours you practice. If you're terrified in like a fighting situation, you're gonna choke up. You know what I'm saying? This is a natural human reaction. So that's an interesting aspect of the whole thing. Anyway, let's see. I had the same, but in my own apartment. The same what? I do not know. All right. I guess I will move on to the next character. What time is it? 10:30. Probably should wrap it up. I gotta work tomorrow. Getting kind of late. But I appreciate your coming, hanging, talking. It's always a good time. Thank you to my friends in here for spending some chat time with me. I want to thank CG for kind of snapping me out of my little negative mood. Pardon me, bringing me back to the ground, so to speak. My feet back on the ground. I'm really pleased with this piece right here. I think that came out quite nice. Kind of looks like me, actually. If I were old and an angel, weirdly. That's that's pretty weird. Anyway, looking at it, let's see what we got. Let's see if there's any more statements here. Leave Me Alone. This looks amazing. What a great name, Leave Me Alone. I like that. Let me back out and I'll show you some more comics before I go. Just a quick little thing about what the story is about. This is like a super nationalist, and this is a kind of an average nationalist. And they used to be on the same team, MAGA Force, but this guy left the team to go far right. He's much, much more far right now. And this guy is not. And so they're, in a way, they're not, well, he's like, you know, you should join my side. And he's like, you should join my side. And so now they're kind of going back and forth about who's what and what's who and when's when, and, you know, what's right and what's wrong. You know, talking about how the government is corrupt and you're just being lied to, you're duped, you know, you're not on the right side, you know. And he's like, oh, well, you know, you're a fascist Nazi, and, you know, I'm gonna take you in, you know, some shit like that, you know. So we'll see how the whole thing unfolds, just like the nature of our political situation in America right now. We shall see how it unfolds. And on that note, I'm gonna leave you guys with a little, what's this, a message is hiding here. Let's show it. It's better to leave the MAGA tards alone, right? Yeah, yeah. All right, take care, my friends. Lovely hanging out with you all. We'll see you next time. Actually, tomorrow night is the Zog Comics, Friday night Zog Comics review, so don't miss that. I stream almost every night. Like, look around my YouTube, and you're gonna see massive amounts of live streams, interviews. I write music, tons of wacky, cool, fun stuff. Check it out, man. Check it out and subscribe. But we'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you tomorrow night at the Friday night Zog Comics review. Bye-bye.